You're watching Bitter and Sweet's Journey to Balance. Hi everyone, I'm Danny and thank you so much for watching. I guess at this point I consider myself professionally to be a writer and a researcher, although a lot of that's changing and I'm figuring a lot of that out. You'll find out more about that in future videos. But let's just call me Danny for now. I'm really enjoying and becoming super comfortable with being myself. But this is something that's kind of new to me. So a few years ago, I was having a lot of internal problems. I didn't feel great. I didn't feel like I knew myself at all. I felt empty. I felt like I was a bit broken and that something was missing. Honestly, since childhood, I kind of always felt like something was just not so, not as it should be. I also, one of the things that really just stuck with me was how I'd have meaningless romances that, I kind of got into out of boredom, to be honest, and they just were super unhealthy for me and just like didn't really serve me in my life. And then I had these bouts of depression and anxiety that were sometimes very debilitating. Occasionally, they really kept me from going out into the world, from pursuing things that I was interested in, from feeling confident in myself, and things of that nature. So just a little bit of background about me. I consider myself a former academic. I spent a lot of time in school. In college, I worked a lot, but I did a lot of research. First into chemistry and then into international studies, but the realm of like politics and government and people, culture, history, things like that. And so I had this really interesting set of knowledge and skills that unfortunately for a lot of times for a job won't get you beyond entry level, but for life I was constantly seeing connections between things I was learning in class and things within my own family, within society, with my friend groups, like all of these things that, especially when I started studying history, you'd see this, people study these things from decades ago, years ago, centuries ago. And you know that they're parts of US culture, US society, or, the colonial cultures that, you know, did what they did here, and now that's why we have this country. But I specifically also really noticed that a lot of the things that historians specifically would talk about, they never seem to have a resolution. They never seem to be fixed, resolved, or worked through. It just kind of seemed like our culture was just based upon a lot of those negative things that were talked about that just, I guess just kind of got accepted. And so that was a really interesting experience for me, approaching this from an academic standpoint. And so when I went back to not knowing myself and feeling empty and broken and things like that, I really began to see how those feelings stem from my own upbringing, my own childhood. And then as I matured, quote unquote, matured into adulthood, I felt really just maladapted. I felt like I wasn't on par with where I needed to be at all. And it disturbed me all the time. I'm very ambitious, I'm very driven, I'm very focused when things are right for me. And so just constantly having these feelings of just feeling off and like I feel like I should be doing this. This is of value. This is good, but I just feel off. It plagued me. So I kind of went about things a little bit backward, I think. I would definitely do it better. And I'm making videos because I want to share my experience and my insight and knowledge, things that I've learned, so that other people can do their lives better, live their life better, get unstuck, and live your best life sooner than later. But I kind of started in a backward way. I gave up a lot of material things. I gave up a lot of comforts. I used to travel all the time. I used to use a lot of credit cards. I used to buy a lot of clothes and shoes. I used to visit friends a lot. I used to drive and, like, waste money on gas a ton, on going out to eat a ton, things like that. And I would still be like, I go at the end of the month and like look at, or in the week, and like be, living paycheck to paycheck. But yeah, I have like really nice clothes and shoes and little things that, in 6 months to a year, I'm not going to give a shit about. But the money, or what it could have done to set me up in different ways would have been super influential. So I started my own journey of like figuring out what the fuck was wrong with me by giving up material things. And then I started practicing letting go of things that caused me trouble. Letting go of men, letting go of relationships with family members, letting go of relationships with male or female friends, or quote unquote friends, quote unquote family, quote unquote men, letting go of jobs or paths that just didn't suit me, and I felt super uncomfortable and underserved doing and at. And of course, when you let go of stuff, they're good and bad and everything, right? And so letting go means you're giving up a lot of that good. But I think, and this was going to make my last point really important, I think when you know who you are and you know what you want, you know what serves you, you know what you need in life, it's easy to give things up that, while there might be 2 or 3 things that are good qualities, they don't outweigh the bad. They don't help you grow. They don't help you move forward. They don't help you push along. And so you quite literally might need to just let it go. And I'll give examples of situations, little stories, of course, protecting people's privacy. I like my privacy. I don't like to be all out there, and I think other people deserve that as well. But I will give some examples in future videos about how that went. But so yeah, I gave up material things and I let go of things that caused me trouble, things that weren't serving me. And what I began to realize is that I really needed to understand what love meant. Actually, like what the word love meant. And I think just for now, love is something that is unconditional and that accepts you no matter what. And I'm not really saying like love someone else or love whatever, love God, like whoever, because it can go in so many different directions. But I think that was the key piece for me. I didn't grow up in a loving, unconditional loving, and accept you as you are type of loving background. I think it might surprise like some friends, or some associates I've acquired as I've gone throughout different stages of life, that's not how my background has been. I'm sure they could tell when I like disappear or just be like out of it and seem like really off. But for the most part, I think that I presented in a way that even when I was a kid at school, like teachers would never have expected that I had an issue. I always did well in school. I very rarely I didn't get in trouble for anything until I went to high school. So yeah, I needed to understand what love was. And I think the key piece of that is I needed to practice self-love. I needed to love myself enough to get to know who I was, to focus on things that suited me and served me, and to live in that, to live in whatever path I truly saw for that true self within me. Not myself as, dictated by everyone else around, and, it's just like whatever I've absorbed. No, I had to love myself enough to be like, Danielle, this is who you are. This is who you aren't. So this is what you're going to do, and this is what you're not going to do. Even if this is something that you've done for the past 25 years, 27 years of your life, you're not going to keep doing that. I also had to redevelop a lot of confidence and trust in myself, trust that I can make the right decisions, confidence that, you know, I could do anything that I put my mind to, confidence that I am as intelligent or as ambitious or as focused and goal oriented as I feel I am, even if other people tell me sometimes that I'm not. You know, that's, and you know, and you say those statements without that second part, because it doesn't matter what other people say. They're usually saying things that they would say to themselves. So yeah, I had to have confidence and trust in myself. I had to practice that all the time. And I had to really go through things to help me remember who I truly was. And I think by giving up those material things and by letting go of those things that didn't serve me, and, you know, letting go of things that I would hold on to and, you know, sometimes do crazy stuff just to keep around, but it really wasn't good for me, I let go of them all. I think through this and through sharing my story, I hope that, you know, this has been a journey for me over the past few years. It's been really important. It's almost like, I love the mythology of the phoenix, of the bird, the beautiful, beautiful bird that, you know, crumbles into ashes, and then a new baby is reborn from those ashes to take the place of the bird that once was, but it's still the same animal. I think I've kind of had a rebirth of sorts over the past 3 years. I'm not done yet by any means, and I don't think in terms of personal development and personal growth we ever will be done. But hopefully by sharing my experience, others can get there faster. And I think that's important. It's important that you plan better, and you will be happier in the long run, even if it hurts a little bit at the beginning. It's going to be better for your life. I promise you. I describe it as bittersweet, and then it gets sweet. And so I really want to put out a series of material or content that's really focused on how I'm getting unstuck and how I'm learning to live my best life, and how, you know, as a community, we can all get on this journey together. You don't have to be alone in doing it. You're not alone. You know, there's so many other people. We might not know each other personally, but nobody's alone on this earth. Nobody's alone in their journeys. So I think we can be friends in it. So I hope you enjoy. I hope you continue to watch, and thank you so much for watching this. Bye-bye.